Okay. So we got about 7:04 here. If some folks, oh, Julie Martin. All right. Julie. All right. So yeah, we got some folks probably popping in here, but we'll just get started here. And as people arrive, we'll just fill them in. So again, welcome. This is the meetup group that I started. I don't know, maybe 7-8 months ago, or I don't even remember. It could be a year ago now. And with the idea being that I wanted to create a community where, and this is actually, I wanted to do this too before the pandemic started, but create a community where we could get together and we could have, hypnotherapists and hypnotists give little presentations and just talk about hypnosis, and open it up to the community and have a wider discussion about hypnosis, just, what its applications are, how it can help us personally. Because one of the things that I know and I believe is that hypnosis is a very empowering modality. It's a very empowering kind of therapy. It's not just something where you have to go see a therapist, and they're kind of, or a doctor or any sort of other health professional, and have them be holding all of the, all of the keys and holding the reins on everything. There's actually a lot of techniques in hypnosis and NLP that you can use yourself, that you can empower yourself to heal. And of course, it is wonderful to work with a professional to do that deep therapeutic work, but there's all these things that you can take with you outside of the office that you can then use to empower yourself to continue your journey. And hypnosis and NLP are definitely things that I feel are really valuable like that. So hi Julie. So hey, good to see you. Good to see you. So so tonight I'm going to be giving the presentation. I do have other hypnotists and hypnotherapists come on to do talks, and but tonight is my turn. So tonight, as you all know, I wanted to do a little presentation on imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon and the different types of hypnosis and NLP techniques, or a few of them that we can use to work with that particular set of issues, So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share screen now, and we'll actually just dive right into it because I want to cover a bunch of stuff, have time to do a little bit of self-hypnosis, and I want to have some time for question and answer too, and try to wrap this up in an hour. It's actually a lot of stuff to cover in an hour, so it's going to be kind of a little bit of glossing over some things maybe, but we'll try to get as deep as we can. And start sharing, and this is the one I'm going to share, and we're going to go to play. Okay, so imposter syndrome. Oops. Oh gosh. Let me stop sharing here for a second. Okay, I got to let somebody in. That's the problem with sharing, I think. Okay, imposter syndrome. What it is and how hypnosis can help. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what it is. So imposter phenomena, that's what a lot of people are calling it, because people are calling it imposter syndrome and imposter phenomena. It's technically more of a phenomenon. The syndrome is not quite accurate because it's not technically a syndrome, but that's the kind of the phrase that a lot of people are throwing around. I don't know if you saw the interview that Michelle Obama did with Amanda Gorman, but they talked a lot about their own personal experience with imposter syndrome. So I think it's fair, just because it's colloquial, it's accepted. We just know that it's not in the DSM-5. It's not like a, definitely this particular type of a syndrome, but it is definitely something that's real and something that people are dealing with. Stop share. Okay. All right, so that's the last person I'm going to do that for. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Seems to be that I can't let people in while I'm sharing. So anyway, so imposter phenomena. So what's that all about? So it's feelings of feeling like you're a fake or you're a fraud. I think everybody maybe has that once in a while, just kind of feeling like, do I really know what I'm doing? Or that sense of like, oh, I'm just going to fake it till I make it, that kind of a feeling. But for people who are suffering from this in a more acute way, it's this really deep sense of like, I really don't know what I'm doing. I really have no idea what the hell is going on here. And this people that I talk with, that I work with it with this complaint, with these issues, they can be the most successful people, people who are extremely successful in their career. They've got relationships, they raise families, they do all these incredible things, and yet they still feel like they're just a fake, they're a fraud. They feel like they're never good enough. Nothing they ever do is ever really good enough. And there's a pervasive fear of being found out. Like, hey, everyone's giving me all these accolades, everybody, giving me all this praise, but eventually they're all going to find out that I really don't know what I'm doing. And this, like I say, this goes for people who are extremely successful, published authors, people with high-powered careers, working in government. I've worked with clients, one client in particular who was in a really demanding position in a city government, and just didn't feel like they were really all that capable. This is a person who got headhunted specifically for this job because they were really quite amazing at what they did, and definitely someone that they wanted on the team there, and still did not feel like they were capable or competent. So there's so a couple other things. People who suffer from imposter syndrome could, let's see here, I'm gonna mute some folks here. So there's two different basically types of people who have imposter syndrome. One of them, one type is the overachieving type, just always out there, always trying to do better and better and better, and just always constantly proving to everyone that they're not a fake, constantly proving that, like, see, look at all my achievements, always, always, always achieving, but never quite satisfied with those achievements. On the flip side of that, there's a lot of people who experience just being underachievers. So rather than even trying at all, rather than even risking being found out, they just simply don't even try. And all of this, whether, either way, all of these feelings create all of this chronic stress, this anxiety, this worry, this constant, just, this fear, like, am I, this disbelief in their own value. And that can cause a lot of problems for people. So some of the fallout then from that is, like I mentioned, increased stress and anxiety. That's a big one. A lot of people will come to me for sessions, and their main complaint is stress and anxiety, and what it comes down to is, and panic attacks and things like that. And what it comes down to is that they have this imposter syndrome, or this, sometimes they don't recognize that's, they don't call it that, but there's this deep sense of shame, this low self-esteem that's there. So so this can lead to depression. People who are suffering from this, they don't have the ability to even enjoy their lives. They can't celebrate their successes, because they just don't believe that they're successes. They just believe that it's luck. It's just, it just happened that way. It's not me. So they have a hard time accepting compliments. I know I've suffered from this myself, and for the longest time, like, if somebody gave me the simplest compliment, I would just, like, I would turn away, I would kind of blush, I would look down at the ground, like, I just couldn't accept. I'd be like, yeah, because I just felt, I had this feeling in my heart that it's like, that's not true. If you only knew the real me, then you wouldn't be giving me this compliment. So I know firsthand what this feels like, and it's not fun. And this can lead to, of course, missed opportunities, relationship problems, all kinds of difficulties in our life. Just briefly, I want to talk a little bit about the causes and some of the symptoms of imposter syndrome, because I don't want to spend too much time on this, because hypnosis and NLP is all about solutions. So I want to dive into the solutions right after this, but it's good to know some of this stuff just so we know kind of what we're dealing with. So it's almost always rooted in some sort of core identity, or just basic perception of who you are. And it's usually, it's completely skewed. It's like, it's not based in truth. It's not based in any sort of reality. This deep sense of identity that we have is totally false, and been totally, you know, the true nature of who we are has been covered over by all of these lies and all of these false, erroneous beliefs. Um, so it's characterized by a negative sense of core image, identity, or internalized shame. And so where does that come from? I mean, it comes from where we were raised most of the time. We get imprinted when we're young with the basic um, the basic messages about who we are and where we belong in the world. And when we're very young, if we don't get um, positive and supportive information and experiences that lend credibility to the truth that we are actually valuable human beings, we're worthy of love, that we should have opportunities in life, that we can do things well, we have successes. If we don't have that sort of supportive structure or soil to kind of grow up in, we internalize instead the opposite, which is this internalized shame. And this can come from all kinds of situations, but from our parents, caregivers, teachers, adult authority figures in our life. And sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's abuse, sometimes it's, things that are really quite serious like that. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not that overt, it's not that kind of a story. It can be just as simple as growing up in a very high achieving family. And a family that really values success and achievement, and just always shining and just doing everything right and perfect all the time, and undervaluing when a person does do well, and sort of minimizing it as being like, well, you got second place, but why didn't you get first? Or you got accepted to you know I don't know. I don't know my Ivy Leagues that well, but you got accepted to such and such a school. Why not Harvard? You got 1,500 on your SATs. Why didn't you get perfect score? That kind of a thing. Those kind of, those high achieving messages. And so that, imagine that, what that message is. If you're getting that over and over again, even all the way back to early childhood. When you're getting these messages of like, yeah, that was good, but really, and it wasn't that good. You're just going to constantly want to, you're just going to constantly feel that nothing you do is really good enough. There's another kind of flip side to that, or another aspect of that, in a different situation where there could be this kind of an overpraising, actually. And this is a big one too, that, from the get-go, it's like, oh, the way, you just ate that baby food so good, and you're just the best baby in the world. And then it just goes on and on and on for your whole life, and just getting all these messages like everything is just perfect and great, and nobody can do it like you, and you're so special, and you're so amazing, and man, nothing can stop you, and that, just piling it on, and there's a certain inauthenticity to that you pick up on as a child, and that can be internalized as this message of, and this idea that that's all bullshit, and all that praise is BS. And actually, I know what the truth is, and the truth is that I'm not that good. So that can be the misinterpreted belief system that gets programmed there. And then there's family systems where shame is just the way of the game. People are constantly feeling shamed, no matter what you do, good or bad, you're just always getting shamed, called a failure, and all your mistakes getting pointed out, your quote unquote mistakes. So all of that can lead to just this internalized shame, this negative self-talk, where you're just living your whole life with this little voice inside your head that no matter what you do is always saying like, yeah, everyone thinks that I did that well, but I know the truth. And the truth is that I'm not good. I'm not capable. I'm not able to do these things. It was just all luck. It was all a chance. It was all just chance, and who you got to be an idiot to think that I'm, I'm actually good at what I do, So Yeah, I mean, this is, I like I say, I've experienced this myself, but I've also worked with a lot of people who suffer from this, and it's so tragic because looking at it from the outside, it's so glaringly obvious that all of that stuff is nonsense. It's just not true. The fact of the matter is that, you know, we're all capable human beings in one way or another. And we're all valuable in one way or another. We're all worthy in one way or another. And it's just not apparent to the person from the inside. So it's quite tragic. But there is a lot of hope. There is a lot of hope in working with this sort of stuff. And there's a lot of solutions, a lot of strategies that we can use when dealing with this problem, this issue. And one of the things is, rather than focusing on the problem, we focus on the solution. We focus on the state that we want to be in rather than the state that we're suffering in. So one of the ways that one of the things that I teach everybody that I work with, and one of the things that I use myself, is reprogramming negative self-talk. And I'm not just talking about positive affirmations here and playing a tape for yourself once in a while that says you are so awesome and you're great and nothing can stand in your way or something like that. I'm talking about training ourselves to become very, very mindful and aware whenever negative self-talk comes up, even a whisper of self-recrimination, self-deprecation, even just the slightest little impulse to it. We have to train ourselves to notice it right away and immediately, right on the spot, challenge it, call it out, call it into the light. And not just call it into the light, but really, really confront it, and confront it with all of the protectiveness and self-love and sort of heroic kind of self-compassion that we can, and just say to that voice, that is bullshit. No, absolutely not. You shut up. Don't ever talk to me like that. You have no right to speak to me like that, because that's totally untrue. And we really have to like train ourselves to be theatrical with it too, and say, shut the hell up. No, 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 you cannot speak to me like that. I will not allow it. And what that does, it allows us, it stops that loop. It's a pattern interrupt. Okay, and it gets us out of that trance of that normal sort of habitual way of looking at ourselves, that habitual way of judging ourselves. And it allows us then to stop that, and then we replace it. Then we replace it with something positive. Then we replace it with, I would never say anything like that to myself. I'm totally capable. I'm totally worthy of trying. Even when I make mistakes, I'm still a good human being. I have innate goodness within me. So, things like that. So the first thing is to train ourselves to notice it. The second is to challenge it very, very directly, very, very forcefully. And the next thing to do is to replace it, and replace it with truth, and the truth that we know underneath all of that false belief. There is a part of us that knows that all of that is untrue, and we know the truth about ourselves is that we're totally valuable and we're totally worthy of living our lives and enjoying our lives and pursuing our wishes and our dreams and all of that. So I want to stop there, and I want to just kind of open it up to just talking a little bit about that aspect, that negative self-talk, because I know it's a big problem with people, and to see like if anybody else has some experience with that, and maybe some of the things that you do to navigate and deal with that kind of stuff. Go ahead.
Well, I'm originally from New York and from the East Coast, so excuse my language, but when I have stuff like that come in my head, I tell myself to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
And shut the fuck up, Jen. Like, I know I'm good, just shut the fuck up.
Right.
But sometimes it doesn't help. It helps like 50-50.
Okay. Can I offer a suggestion?
Please.
Okay. Maybe leave off the gen part, because it's not really you, I mean, it is in a way, but it's not like that voice, whatever that voice is, and those words, it came from somewhere else. It came from outside of you. And we internalized that, we internalize the negativity. So it can be helpful to really kind of, at least for the time being, recognize that this is something, this is not coming from me originally, and so we tell the voice to shut the fuck up, and then maybe that voice is in the it sounds like our mom, or it sounds like our Catholic school second grade nun teacher, or whatever, whoever that is, that we tell that voice to shut the fuck up, we tell, or if it's just not even a voice that we recognize, we tell the voice to shut up. So but yeah, hey, if it works 50% of the time, that's good. So I would say it's worth a shot anyway, right? So
Other than that, I just could give myself like pep talks,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah. So anybody else have anything? Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
I've used it, and I've taught a similar technique to my clients from cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But I like your phrases better, because when I've taught it to my clients, I've just suggested they holler silently in their head, no. And then they switch to something that contradicts the negative self-talk. Some
Okay.
of them use phrases as simple as begin again, or one religious client said, God is pleased. In other words, if God's pleased with me, why am I saying these things to myself?
Right.
But the statements you gave, such as, that isn't true, I will not allow it, that just feels really empowering. So much more than a simple no.
Right. Yeah, it's important to call it out with as much force as we can, and there's other ways to do it, and other ways that I don't know. And so, use your imagination there, but yeah, call it out for what it is. I mean, a lot of negative self-talk, it's like, if we actually put it on a tape and we played it back to ourselves, or if we put it on a tape and we played it for somebody else and said, like, what do you think about what this person is saying? Or if we said it to somebody else, like, we get punched in the mouth, if we said the stuff that we say to ourselves to somebody else. So yeah, we have to be as strong and forceful as we can with this stuff. And again, not turning it into like some sort of another attack on ourselves is just the key. That's the thing to just be careful about, that we're not attacking we're not making the problem worse. We're actually saying it's the negative self-talk that's the lie, the bullshit, the shut the fuck up to that. And then replace it with, like, of course I would never say anything like that to myself. I care for myself. I'm deserving of success. I'm deserving of being at peace, being at ease. Whatever it is that you're needing to tell yourself, and whatever kind of maybe spontaneously comes up. Yeah. So, well, cool. Well, if anybody has any other ideas on that, we can talk about it maybe a little at the end too. Another technique is, this one is also really powerful, and is learning how to anchor positive resource states for ourselves. There's a couple of very NLP specific terms in there, anchoring and resource states. So I'll explain those a little bit. An anchor can be, you can call it a trigger too, anything that sort of triggers something, a reminder, a pattern interrupt of some sort. And then resource states are states of feeling confident, feeling self-assured, feeling at peace, feeling at ease, feeling protected. Any of these kind of really positive states, okay? So the way to do this technique is again, it's very empowering. It's a very empowering technique, because what it is that we're going to learn here is that we have a lot more control over our inner state than we normally think. All right, we may think that we are at the mercy of these sort of negative, either the negative self-talk or the stress or the anxiety or all that kind of stuff, and And we only are up to a point. We're actually very much in charge and in control of how we feel in our inner world, if we just take a little bit of time to practice and to exercise it. So what we do is in order to anchor a positive resource state, is the first thing we're going to do is just we're going to relax. So it doesn't have to be like a long, extensive process, just a couple of deep breaths, just in and out, relaxing. Now you can do this along with me right now if you want. Just letting go, letting go. Eyes open or closed, doesn't matter. And then just bring back a memory, bring back an actual memory of a time where you felt something really positive, where you felt like something like it was just a great day. You felt really good. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be something really small. Just something where you felt really good. You felt just confident about life. You just felt like you knocked it out of the park that day. And when you have that memory, when you have that event in mind, then just go ahead and just kind of imagine where that feeling is in your body. Notice where it is. Could be in the belly, could be in the chest, could be in the, could be in your head. Wherever it is, just notice it. And if you want, you can notice any sort of colors or, shape of the feeling, or any motion or movement, if that helps to make it even more real. And then just kind of just allow yourself to increase that feeling. Make that feeling even bigger, even more intense. Just noticing that feeling. Man, that was just such a great, great time. Oh my gosh. Bring that feeling up, just welling up through your body. Imagine it spreading through your entire body and through your entire being. And when you have that, then you can go ahead and you can set the anchor. And what you're going to do is you're just going to take one of your hands, it could be your dominant hand, could be the left, could be the right, doesn't matter. And just kind of, just gently but firmly roll your fingers into a fist. Just clench your fingers while continuing to experience that really positive feeling, that positive resource state. And then go ahead and let that hand open. And you can open your eyes if your eyes are closed, and just kind of look around the room for a moment. Just look around. And then if you want, you can close your eyes again or not, no problem, but go ahead and then close your fist again, closing that fist again, and then noticing that feeling coming back automatically. Maybe even stronger than before. Bringing that feeling back, that good feeling. Feel it filling your whole body and your whole being. And then go ahead and let the hand open again. Open your eyes, look around the room for a moment or two. Notice a picture on the wall or something out the window or anything at all. And then go ahead and come back, bringing the hand, closing it again into a fist. And again, that feeling comes back again, even stronger. And you might even find yourself smiling this time as you remember and feel and experience this feeling. And then we'll go ahead and we'll end that little exercise there for now. Just go ahead and let go, open your eyes again, let your hand open. And so now what we've done here is that we've actually created a physical anchor in our body, in our experience, in our nervous system, where we've associated this really positive feeling, which has been firing through our brains. We've actually created that for ourselves. That experience is long gone. It's however long ago it was. Mine was 15 years ago. And but just bringing it up right now brings back that feeling. All those happiness chemicals get released from the brain. We create that physical anchor, and what happens is that then that kind of gets yeah, just anchored right there in your hand, or whatever physical kind of gesture you want to use. Sometimes people will put a finger and a thumb together, or they'll, touch their leg, or whenever that happens. So how we use this then is, then in the future, what we do is, whenever we find ourselves feeling this sort of imposter syndrome feelings coming up, or this negative self-talk coming up, or this feeling of shame coming up, or whatever, or anxiety or stress coming up, we go ahead and we use the anchor, and we fire up those neurons again to just go ahead and flood ourselves with that experience, that resource state, that positive state. And that cuts right through the whole problem. We don't have to deal with the causes and the conditions and all of that stuff. We can just cut right through it and be instead in a better, more empowered place. So that way, whatever is happening, whatever has triggered that, or whatever situation we're in, we don't continue to spiral down and then become less capable of handling what's happening in our lives. We can actually have this much more positive place from which to function. One way you can test this, and you can test this right now, is that you can go ahead and bring up like a state, like a negative state. Bring up a time in your life now where you were having a hard time, maybe a little bit of stress, a little bit of anxiety. Imagine yourself just at the beginning of that experience, and then just before you move through that experience, and that sort of that feeling of like, oh God, here it comes. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be, it's going to be anxiety inducing, whatever. Go ahead and fire up your anchor, bringing back that feeling, and then move through that event, that memory of that difficult time, now with that new resource state as you move through it. And see how you feel at the end of that difficult memory, that difficult time. What do you guys think about that one?
Good.
I like it.
That was good.
Cool.
I didn't necessarily follow each step, but I like the concept of it. I'm going to try it again a little later.
Yeah. Cool.
Chris, could you clarify when we use,
Yeah.
when we use the anchor again, when we fire up the anchor,
Mm-hmm.
are we envisioning that successful event first and then clenching, or are we clenching to trigger the memory of the event?
We're actually clenching the anchor to bring up the resource state. So it doesn't necessarily even have to be that memory anymore. It can come back as the memory. That's fine too, if we have a strong association with that, and if that helps. But you can also just simply bring back that state, and that state just comes back. That sort of that feeling of like, yeah, I feel good. Actually, I feel okay. Wait a minute, I can handle this, no problem. So or why was I talking to myself like that? Why was I saying those things? Actually, everything's okay. And I feel pretty good. Yeah. And yeah, so that's one way of using that. Another one, and this one I think is really valuable as well. We were talking before, and we'll dip into causes here a little bit and how we can deal with causes, but we can also bring adult resources back to childhood memories and experiences. If we know, for example, that that a lot of our imposter syndrome is kind of rooted in maybe a specific familial relationship, or even an event, we can or series of events, we can just deal with maybe just one memory at a time. And what we can do is we can get into a relaxed state. We don't have to go into full hypnosis mode. It can help, but we don't have to. But we can just bring up a childhood memory of a time where we feel like, okay, that has a lot to do with how I feel about myself. That made me not feel so good about myself. And then we bring that memory up. And again, we get in a kind of a relaxed state. Just relax a little bit, bring that memory up. If it's a little bit too intense, we can dissociate from it a little bit. We can either imagine it as a picture out in front of us and push it away a little bit and just kind of clearly imagine it as being something out here, or we can imagine ourselves above it looking down. Either way, if we need to do that. And it's actually probably good to just start with that anyway, just to practice that skill and that technique of viewing memories as, experiencing memories as something outside yourself or something you're looking down at. Because if you're too associated in it, if you're like in it, especially with very traumatic memories, it's fine if that happens, because, you know, eventually we want to be able to go there, but yeah, just so we don't get lost in that, so we don't get all caught up in it, because we want to do some therapeutic work. So dissociate a little bit, put it out in front or come up above it, and then what you want to do is just kind of see that memory unfolding. Watch that younger version of yourself, see what they're about to go through, see their reactions, kind of relate to their emotions and what they were feeling, see what the other characters in the memory were doing. You know, bring it back with as much, you know, vividness as you can. And then once you've done that, then you want to go into that memory. You're going to go as yourself, as your adult self right now, and go ahead and actually move into the picture or move down into the memory, okay, as your adult self. And then begin interacting with that child self, with that younger version of you, and interacting with it in such a way where you're bringing all of your adult skills and wisdom and experience to this child. And you can say things like, you know, hey, you know, I love you, don't you? I'm here for you. You can say whatever you think you needed to hear, you know, that younger version of yourself needs to hear in order to understand that situation that they're in, understand that experience. You can give them assurances, you can give them love, you can give that younger version of yourself the perspective that, hey, no matter how bad that was, and it was bad, I know, and validity, you know, I know it was awful. And anybody in your situation, as young as you were, I mean, how could you have reacted in any other way? But I want you to know that that you made it through that. And do you know how you made it through that? Because I'm here, and I'm proof that you made it through that. And then you can just kind of walk through with that younger version of yourself through that memory with all of that adult wisdom, all of that perspective. Do that a couple of times with a memory that maybe is giving you some trouble, or you keep coming back to, that's been a challenging one for you, something that feels unresolved, something that feels like it's just the kind of the crux of the matter. And do it a few times, and do it not just in one session, but, you know, do it over and over again, you know, as many times as you want. I have memories that I've worked with myself personally that I know I've got pretty much resolved, you know, emotionally resolved. I feel free from a lot of things. And yet I still go back to that younger version of myself just to say, like, hey, I'm here for you still, you know. And just kind of move through those things again, and just kind of reinforce that good feeling of resolution. So that's a really helpful one here too, to clear out that, to deprogram all that internalized stuff, those internalized messages about ourselves. And that's what this exercise is geared towards in terms of imposter syndrome. So the final one here, and this is basically what I do. This is what I do in my practice. All these other things are wonderful techniques, and I definitely use them. But the main thing that I'm always driving myself towards, and people I work with towards, is the recognition of our innate, indisputable goodness, value, and worthiness. There is absolutely no question that it's not that like we're good people or anything like that. It's that there is absolutely fundamentally nothing flawed with us. And when we can have that experience, we recognize that even the very act of breathing, the entire, every single function of our body, everything about us on a cellular level is really always driving towards and coming from a place of innate goodness, creativity, joyful, exuberant expression, you know. And the way that we have an experience of this like we pretty much, I believe that we have to kind of do it through a different kind of state of mind. We can't just consciously say that to ourselves and have an experience of it. We can't have just an intellectual understanding. We have to experience it ourselves. And one of the best ways to do that is through hypnosis. So, so what I'd like to do real quick here is to just do a quick run through of a self-hypnosis technique here. And we'll move through it fairly quickly because we're getting about 15 minutes towards before 8. And we'll just spend about a minute or two just giving ourselves, once we're in this trance state and we're in this open state of openness, I'll just give you a little bit of a taste of that and some of the things that I find to be effective. So why don't we just go ahead and get relaxed, get into a place where we're either sitting on a chair, on an easy chair, the couch, wherever. And first we want to just go ahead and leave our eyes open and just kind of lift our gaze up. Lift our gaze up and then pick up a spot either on the ceiling or on the wall. Hold your gaze open like that for a few breaths. And the final exhale, go ahead and let your eyes close and let that last exhale allow you to begin to relax. And then notice that feeling of relaxation around your eyes, all the muscles around your eyes, letting go, loose and limp and rested and relaxed. And send that feeling of relaxation up over the top of your head, all the way down through your body, down to the tips of your toes. Relaxing, releasing, and letting go more and more with each breath. Each breath taking deeper and deeper. Each breath letting go more and more. And now imagine yourself coming to the top of a beautiful staircase. A staircase with 10 steps going down. And as you stand at the top of this staircase, you know that with each step you take down this staircase, you will go even deeper. Deeper relaxed. Deeper into trance. And go ahead and begin walking down that staircase now, counting each step as you go deeper and deeper. Step number 10, starting down now. Step number 9, deeper still. Step number 8, feelings of relaxation flowing through your body now. Step number 7, even deeper, that's right. Step number 6, continuing down the staircase. Step number 5, halfway down now. Step number 4, going deeper, deeper. Step number 3. Step number 2. Almost there now. Step number 1, all the way down now. All the way down. Deeply relaxed. And in this state of deep relaxation, begin to notice now your breathing, the oxygen coming in through your nose, filling your lungs with oxygen. Notice the support of your body, accepting the oxygen into your lungs, sending that oxygen to every part of your body. And this whole process happening unconsciously. Unceasingly. Every moment of your life. Your unconscious mind supporting you, sustaining you. Without you ever having to do anything at all. Experience that now, that deeper, wiser, loving part of yourself. In every cell, in every part of your being. Supporting you in ways that you cannot even conceive. Recognize that now. The continuous push of your unconscious mind towards wholeness, towards harmony, towards well-being. Even through difficult times. Even through challenges. Your unconscious mind, always there for you. Always supporting you. Always loving you. And just enjoy that for a moment in silence now. And as we get ready to come back to normal waking consciousness now, we can, if you want, visualize this whole experience dissolving into a white golden light, radiating through us, surrounding us. This entire experience, all of its wisdom and learning, infused now within your being. And on the count of 5, come back to normal waking consciousness now. Feeling refreshed and feeling wonderful in every way. Number 1, easily coming back. Number 2, coming back now, that's right. Number 3, just wiggle your fingers and toes. Number 4, take a nice deep breath, inhale, wakeful energy. And number 5, open your eyes, wide awake, feeling wonderful and refreshed in every way. And you do feel wonderful, don't you?
That definitely helps.
Cool. Cool. Simple. And maybe a little, I don't know, sometimes some of the language and stuff, everybody's different. You can use whatever language you want. It doesn't have to be, I try to keep it in between, like really woo-woo and scientific, you know, I try to find a middle way there. But you know, you can do it however you want, you know, but just have that sort of that time to connect with that part of ourselves that's really quite miraculous. Take a little bit of time to cultivate a little bit of awe in this process of every single moment of our lives. We're just constantly expressing as new life, and it's pretty remarkable. And I think that in and of itself is a great medicine for all kinds of different ailments that we have, you know, emotional, mental, spiritual. Just simply recognizing that sort of that miraculous quality that we all of us have. And this is for your own self. This is your own experience. You know, it's not something that you need to advertise about, or you don't need to do it on the bus, or you know, make a big deal out of it. You do it for yourself. Do it for yourself so that you feel good in the world, so that you feel okay in the world. And by you feeling okay in the world, you're going to make other people feel okay in the world. And there's no stopping you after that. So yeah, so that's what I got for that. And if you want to take a screenshot of these steps here for self-hypnosis, feel free to do that. And if you don't get to that now and you want it later or whatever, just let me know and I'll send you some a little bit of info on that. But yeah, like I say, that was a lot of information, and did take us right up to 8. So I'm happy to stay on for a little bit longer. If there's questions or you want to share something or you know, whatever, I'm happy to do that.
Hi, Chris, it's Julie. And
Hey, Julie.
that was just lovely from beginning to end. I know, it's just really easy to understand, and yeah, the activities were just really centering. So I really appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you, Julie.
Thank
Great.
you.
It's great to have you. It's great to hear your voice.
It's wonderful to hear your voice. Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say too, Noah had to duck in and out a couple of times, but well, thank you, Chris, for all of this, and Jen and Jennifer for your contributions to just listening to this has helped a lot. I've been acknowledging and going through imposter syndrome and what to do with it phenomena now. I know. For the past few years, including being involved in communities that have had a lot of other people going through it, but also just by myself a lot
Yeah.
since pre-pandemic times. So
Yeah.
being able to have a couple of exercises and maybe a couple of people to, I don't know, maybe talk to later about this is huge, even in this 1 hour. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Great. Yeah. And please, let's say, we can stay connected through the meetup group, through that, messaging and that sort of thing. So if you have questions or you want to reach out, don't hesitate. And because we, we need each other. We need each other. So, yeah. Yeah. You're muted, Jen.
Thank you. Please explain the balloon arm on number 5. Did I miss that explanation?
No, you didn't. I just didn't do it. And so, because I was just kind of shorten things for time. It's sort of an optional technique. And what you do is you get down to the bottom of the stairs. And this is what's called a hypnotic convincer. And it's helpful. It can be helpful for just sort of deepening the trance by creating a hypnotic phenomena, something that your conscious mind can't comprehend or can't understand, and yet it's happening, and then it just sort of like convinces you even more that, oh, I am really in trance here. So here's what it is basically. So you get down to the bottom of the stairs, you're already relaxed, you're already in trance. And then just go ahead and just kind of walk yourself through this and say, okay, so now, and just say my right arm is feeling very light now, very light as a feather, light as a feather. And I'm going to imagine now that there's a string of helium balloons attached to my wrist. And these balloons begin to lift my arm, and they're lifting my arm, and my arm is light as a feather, and it's lifting up slowly and slowly, lifting up higher and higher. That's right, lifting up all the way up now. And then your arm kind of like starts to actually lift, and it's just a basic hypnotic phenomena. It's not really anything mysterious either. It's just suggestion. You're suggesting to your body that this is happening, and since you're in a receptive state, it'll happen. And it's not that there's anything magical happening. It's just that that's what's going on. And so then when you're done, when you get to a point where you're like, okay, so now my arm's this high, I'll go ahead and now just let my arm fall down, back to my lap, down to my lap, and go even deeper. And when it hits your lap, I mean, if it can be really helpful. But again, it's not necessary. You can easily skip it, and it's no big deal.
Thank you.
And if it doesn't work the first time, don't worry, because sometimes maybe for somebody, I've had it not work for me once, and I was like, oh, well, who cares? I mean, just, I'm still going to have a good time. I'm still going to have a good experience here. So, but yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Excuse me, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. Every time I do self-hypnosis, I usually come up with a minor headache.
Okay.
This time it was better, but still I have it. I know that I should try to tell myself that each time I breathe, I should become more relaxed, and I should be more to the state of being conscious.
Okay.
But even so, I most of the time still have a minor headache. Do you have any suggestion for that?
Yeah, the thing that's coming to mind is ask the headache what it wants. I know it sounds kind of weird, but yeah, I mean, and maybe while you're in hypnosis, or after you do your session, if you have a headache, maybe go back in real quick and then just have a dialogue and say like, hey, I want to invite this part of myself that's creating this headache for myself to speak to me, and then allow it to take some sort of a form, some sort of a shape, whatever it wants. And when it does, then you have a dialogue and just simply ask it, why? So thank you, headache, for appearing in the way that you do. Why do you, what is it that you're after by doing the things you do in my life? By appearing for me as a headache, what is it that you really want to accomplish? And then have a dialogue with it, and see what happens.
Yeah, because I think what lies behind it is usually my eye movements, because my eye moves upwards and it's tense.
Okay.
I get to relax, but I think that might cause some roots for the headache, maybe.
Okay,
Uh,
that could be. That could be.
it's something underneath it. I feel if I don't get my eyeballs that
Mm,
high,
mm.
I won't be, uh, hypnotized as I should be.
Ah, okay, okay. Well, then don't know that you can just simply close your eyes. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and then begin to relax, and then begin to notice the relaxation around your eyes, and send that relaxation through your whole body. We don't have to do that whole thing. That's just that's one technique that it's not necessary.
Yeah, because I did it in my self hypnosis techniques too.
Okay,
But thank you, thanks for your time, and it was a great session. Thank you. I
cool,
appreciate it.
cool.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. All right.
I got one more question, but
Yeah.
I don't wanna monopolize. I've asked a few. If anybody else has one, I can save it. Okay.
No. Okay.
All right. Um, is it necessary or even possible when using hypnosis with clients,
Mm-hmm.
particularly with some that might be severely traumatized?
Mm-hmm.
Is it necessary to build in an escape hatch of sorts so that they can come out of it if they need to in a safe way? And the reason I'm asking is I do a similar technique, not hypnosis
Mm-hmm.
per se, but guided visualization.
Yeah.
And the client found it very difficult to let me guide her.
Okay.
She wanted to stop and guide herself, but she
Yeah.
didn't feel she could really speak up.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Um, yeah. So dissociation is important. An important thing to be able to train your client in how to do, and you start doing that with doing it with less traumatic memories, and to just kind of walk them through that process. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's associate into a memory where there's maybe not a whole lot of trauma or no trauma at all, and then practice gaining distance from that. And you can use it in different. One really good way, even if you don't even know that there's a big trauma coming up for somebody, you can teach people a technique anticipating the possibility by just showing them how easy it is to imagine some sort of a memory, and say like, okay, so now how are you seeing that? Or is it a picture? Is it a movie? Is it in color? Is it black and white? Get the details about how they are experiencing that, and say, okay, great. So now go ahead and now take that picture. Let's say it's a picture. Take that picture and now go ahead and push it out 5 miles out in front of you. Okay, now take that picture and then it's like throw it back 10 miles behind you. Take it back and throw it on back there, and then bring it back to the front, and then change the color and change it to black and white. Or if it's black and white, change it to color, change the size of the picture, change the motion from forwards to backwards. Have them do all of these things, and you're basically training them, their subconscious mind too, to just recognize that, oh, they have a whole lot of power over memories. you know we can manipulate our memories in all these wonderful ways. So that's one way. Another way, yeah, is that the dissociation techniques of, like, if somebody's associated into something, then you say, okay, so now go ahead and take a step out of the memory. You want to take a step out, and you're creating dual awareness, right? So you want to be reminding them either with a tap on the wrist, or if they're okay with that, or some sort of physical contact, or just a verbal reminder that, and I just want you to remember that you're here in this room with me. Listen to my voice. You're safe. You're in the chair. You're okay, and bring them back that way, and give them assurance too that you can have them bring their adult self into the memory too, and say, hey, I want you to go as your adult self now. I'm talking to adult, so and so, adult so and so. I want you right now to go back to younger so and so, and go ahead and give that younger so and so all the love protection and help that is needed right now. And then you can go back and forth like that.
All right, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay. Cool. All right. Anything else from anybody, or?
Just one last question, Chris.
Sure. Yeah.
How can we access the recorded session?
I will put it up on my YouTube channel, and I'll also share the link on the group, on the meetup group.
Yeah, sounds good. Because
Yeah.
somebody seems to have a difficulty signing into the session. That
Yeah.
would be really helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that. So I will do that, and I'll put that up for them. So
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you so much, and have a great one,
Okay.
everyone,
Right.
and especially take care.
Kim, did you have something?
Yes, Chris, what is your YouTube channel?
I will, let's see here. That's a good question. Hold on here. Let's find it.
I just don't think I'm ready to try to do the self-hypnosis yet. It's too
Okay.
new to me.
Okay.
I need to hear it rather than struggle for my own words
Got it.
at this point.
Okay. Yes, I will. Let's see, where's my channel? Your channel. Let's see. I'm going to put that in the chat here.
Okay.
And I think that should take you right to it. So if you want to.
Got it. I just took a snapshot, so I'll have it.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. And if you have trouble with that, like I say, I'm going to put this link up tomorrow by tomorrow sometime in the meetup group message area, and I'll send it out as a message to everyone too if you want. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
I learned a
Thanks,
lot.
Chris.
Okay.
Have a good night,
Good night.
everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good night.
Mm-mm.